So, Mr. Camacho, perhaps we'll start with why was CBMA created and what is your role? What's the purpose?
All right. Okay. CBMA, the Commonwealth Bureau of Military Affairs, was created in order to facilitate all activities coming into the military activities coming into the CNMI. For example, exercises, the build-up, obviously, and all the communications between DoD, the Joint Region Marianas, Joint Task Force Micronesia, and anybody for that matter coming into the CNMI that has some kind of activity, vested interest in the build-up, and any of our military activities, the projects that are going on up north on Tinian, airports improvement on the islands of Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. So anything that the military interested in doing in the CNMI is coordinated through this office. So the CBMA, also known as the Commonwealth's Center of Civil Military Coordination. So, the terms themselves really matter. So all the communications, we ask our military to communicate through our office, through the governor's office of the governor, but through our office to make sure that the governor's informed of everything that's going on. From the smallest thing, a visiting official from DoD, for example, whatever rank, we need to be informed.
And you're just the second person to officially hold it?
Actually, I think the third.
Oh, the third.
Yeah, the third. In this capacity.
Yeah.
But we've had a military affairs office before under John Babauta, I believe, when he was interested in putting together the Army National Guard for the CNMI. So we had that back in early 2002, 2003, but did not become official until about 2004 or 5. And it was called the Special Assistant for Military Affairs at that time. The same title, but it wasn't a formal office with a budget coming from the Office of Local Defense for Community Cooperation. That was not the case back then. It was just all internally CNMI.
So it's safe to say, because of the ramp up in military activity, this office was needed? Yes.
So this office was needed, still is, and it will still be needed in the future. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we also let the community know that's also our role of the kinds of activities, so there won't be any surprises. And obviously, we're from here, right? So we look out on behalf of, for the best interests of the people of the Commonwealth and the CNMI government as a whole. But we also want to make sure that we're not jeopardizing any of the activities that are going on because of, the obvious need of having the divert airfield, the improvement of the North Field, improvement of our airports, seaports, and all of our infrastructures from CUC, CPA, communications, all of those. So where we are developing and the military identifies a need in an area, they also let us know how can we help you develop that. And through the OCC, that's called the Office of Local Defense for Community Cooperation, through that office, we are being funded right now, 100%, in order for us to facilitate those other activities that will benefit the Commonwealth. Anything from military tourism, if that's what we want, to technical capacity building, and we need those. We obviously need to beef up our brown tree snake and other invasive species capacity, right? We want to make sure that our environment is protected, so there's a lengthy process of environmental impact studies and statements. And not long from now, as a matter of fact, this month, the Commonwealth Joint Military Training Community is coming together to provide a public forum for the community to engage and be heard on their thoughts about the draft that's going to be coming out this Friday. So we will be receiving the release, and it's going to be available to the public this Friday, June 6th, for the folks to comment. The CNMI community will be able to comment on those draft EIS.
And what does the EIS cover? Which projects?
Yeah, it covers the military training activities that are going to be happening, especially on Tinian. And we also have our old Voice of America station, right, over here on Saipan. We're giving that to the military for their use in some form of an agreement right now, lease, if you would, where they can actually communicate with everything going on Tinian and serve as an alternate range control tower, if you would, to make sure that our flights are taken care of and then our exercises don't hamper with our commercial activities, commercial flights. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of projects, and some people complain that we're too fast, but a lot more people are complaining that we're too slow, right? I think the slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? And when we do it that way, we're actually making sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's and making sure we're doing the things right. But we do things really fast, something might be forgotten or overlooked, and then we're going to find ourselves going backwards to correct those mistakes. So the pace we're going right now, even though people think we're slow, we got folks that are just want to get that instant gratification and start seeing the dollars roll in, right? But we want to make sure we're doing the things right.
And so speaking of that, what is happening in the CNMI? Like, can you outline for us what's the lay of the land in terms of the military's?
Sure. Okay, so we don't have any thing right now in writing. When I say we're in the Commonwealth, saying that there's going to be a huge military footprint for a long term, right? There's no plan to have permanent basing in the CNMI. The permanent basing are already on Guam and in Hawaii, right? But for the CNMI, these are all for training activities and divert on alternate sites for our aircrafts when they need to come and utilize our facilities. But the biggest footprint we're going to have will be during exercises and during the training of our folks that we need to make sure that they're ready for anything. They need to come and train and finalize their skill sets and then move on, right? So that's what we're doing with the military training side of the house.
All right, and there's a lot of talk now, obviously, about the economy. There's a belief out there, we've heard from many, even in the business community, that the military can serve as a substitute to tourism. Do you believe that?
Sure. I mean, if you have money flowing in from whatever angle, that could be a substitute to whatever primary industry we have right now. But nothing is going to be permanent, right? We had garment, that was not permanent. Casino is not permanent. Tourism obviously is not permanent. It's not going to be a continuous flow of income into the Commonwealth, right? And like any business, except royalty. Once you have royalty and you have the flow coming in. But we don't have that part yet. And we're here when we're needed, and we're needed again, right? And when I say we, I'm talking about the Commonwealth. Right. The Commonwealth is needed. And in the future, if we're not needed, I hope the military don't forget us. I hope they continue to come and train and bring in enough boost to economy. And they don't just forget about us again if we're not needed. So obviously we had Cold Wars in the past, right? Most recent, the Cold War with the USSR at the time. And we were utilized to a certain point, and then Cold War ended, and even our radar station was left behind, right, that we have up north. Now it's becoming more and more important again. We don't know if there's actually a need for it because we got satellites now that can take care of all those needs. But land prime real estate, and folks where they need to train in the waters, for example. Our Navy should always be in the water most of the time, and there are Air Force in the air. So our region is very, very important strategically, both air, land, and sea, for all of them, and space for that matter. Yeah, and space.
And so we're not looking at anything permanent. It's more so trainings, contracts.
Sure.
Have we been able to quantify, especially on Tinian, how much the economic impact is?
Let me get into that. Sure. Approaching the billions, right? It's up there, Tom. My own guesstimate, right, with my very little public education, okay, I was able to put something together, and in the 1 year alone, a lot of money was floating all over, right? Close to $500 million was floating around, okay? Now, where that money actually goes to, some of it doesn't, a lot doesn't stay in the Commonwealth, because some of those businesses that are doing the businesses are coming from somewhere else, right? Okay, so there's my pitch on that. So what we've been trying to do with our partners, our members of DoD, is to see what we can do to make sure that that money actually stays here. Right? But when, you know, the world of business, it's, you know, up for grabs all the time when it comes to a critical mass, and in this case, the critical mass is the build-up for Tinian. So a lot of people will jump onto that wherever they're from. What we want them is to make sure they're registered here, right, doing business here in the Commonwealth, and paying the BGRT here in the Commonwealth, and whatever profits they get to keep, that's for, you know, I mean, for me, if there are employees working in the Commonwealth, every one of those employees should be paying taxes here in the Commonwealth, right? Nothing should exempt them. And that's just my view. Now, obviously, uniform personnel, active duty personnel, is probably going to be paying taxes somewhere else. They already have a resident state that they're, you know, registered to be living in. So their income probably won't be taxed here, but somewhere else. That part I got. But businesses, they really do need to start paying their dues here in the Commonwealth.
And what types of businesses are those?
Oh, the subcontractors. So we got, and the primary contractors from the DoD, right? If those folks come in to do business in the Commonwealth, you name it, from whatever name of the industry they're coming from, whatever businesses their companies are coming from, we got that part. But if they're doing business here in the Commonwealth, building our airfields, you know, building the whatever improvements, right? Those businesses should be doing that here, paying their dues.
Like you said, we see these huge multi-million-dollar contracts awarded, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But as you said, most of that money
probably doesn't come here.
Mm-hmm. And so the impact that we might be seeing immediately are the catering businesses, the restaurants.
Yeah, the smaller businesses. Yeah, and that's a big impact, by the way. I like it that all of those are, you know, experiencing the boost, but that's peanuts compared to the ones that are actually leaving the Commonwealth. The dollars that are leaving the Commonwealth.
And so what will it take to actually have them pay their taxes?
We just got to enforce it. Enforce it. Go out there and make sure it's enforced. So I'm also helping and letting our DoD partners know that you know, those companies need to be doing that, because we have statutes that are in place for the Commonwealth. And the thing that makes us different from other places, you know, we're not just a regular state. We're not a part of the continental United States, right? So we have a unique system here where we're not even foreign. We are part of the United States, right? So you have to abide with the local laws that is based on our Constitution. Okay? We have a Constitution. We have laws in place. Some places don't.
And I did also want to ask about some of the national news. There were articles that came out this week that there's a new Pentagon policy limiting the number of relocations for military.
Oh, yeah. I'm very familiar with that. Yeah, I saw the article. Thank you for sharing that earlier. So, two things that happen when we do that. We obviously save a lot of money, right? And by saving a lot of money, because a move is very expensive. Not only are you transferring families, personnel, you're transferring your household goods, cars, you're moving all of that. So there's a big cost to moving a family, and if you do that every 2 or 3 years, that's a lot of money, right? But if you minimize it to 6 years, or you extend it to 6 years or more, and some people call it homesteading, right? So when they do the homesteading part, they're having institutional knowledge stay at those organizations. That's a good thing. But at the same time, in my view, some of those folks are not getting enough experience as far as doing some kind of work somewhere else, maybe a different job. And it's going to be all dependent also on your skill set. So wherever you're needed, they're going to send you there. If you're not needed anywhere, you can probably stay up to 12 years in one location, right? Because you're needed there more. But if you're needed somewhere else, you may be there for 12 years, but within those 12 years, you're somewhere else. And then you're going to come back again. And maybe if you do go, it's going to be just you, and your family stays back in that area. So that's how the government, the DOD, will save money in that. Now, the other way of looking at this, and the Chinese is pretty good at this, CCP is pretty good at this, right? It's called the rule of avoidance. You don't want someone, especially in a high-level position, to stay at any given place for a long time. Because if you do that, they tend to develop a lot of, or garner enough loyalty, right? Enough loyalty, they have a clique, and votes, matter, right? So when they vote for something, an event or an activity or a proposal and all that, whoever's in charge of that group will already have garnered enough of that loyalty to win, whether it's against the grain of, in China, for example, against the central government, right? The CCP does not like that. So they call it the rule of avoidance. So it's like every 4 years they move him around. You cannot be the governor or the mayor of this one city for a long time because you might garner enough folks to resist against central government. So that's the other way of looking at it. It's called the rule of avoidance.
But you see any potential impact to Guam or here in terms of the limitations?
For us, we will like that because we have a point of contact that are an institutional knowledge folks that know the stuff instead of us trying to teach every admiral, every captain, every 2 years, to teach them again, hey, this is how we do this is how we do that. So the other way that we're doing that is we do have a lot of folks from the area that are living in the area, and this is their home, right? And most of them are the civilian folks that don't get transferred, all over the place. They live here, this is their home, this is where they work, and those folks are what we call our institutional knowledge folks, where we don't have to retrain them. They're the ones that are going to train all those new commanders coming in.
All right,
Yeah.
and my last question.
Sure.
Thanks again for your time. I've asked you this before, and I wanted to get your answer today.
All right, let me drink to that.
All right. What is the biggest threat right now to the United States?
Mother Nature, out here, Mother Nature is our biggest threat right out here, right? We deal with typhoons, tsunamis, earthquakes, whatever, volcanic eruptions. So that is really our biggest threat. Now, a lot of people fear, and rightfully so, rightfully so, fear, the perceived threat that we have in our region. And I don't have all the details, but I'm also not a watcher of that. I just kind of like open source, read the newspapers, go online, take a look at all these things. Now, it's called information operation, right? So China will go all out and boast all the things that they got going, their power, their strength, their goals. They make people not knowing exactly what they're doing, right? But the Chinese strategy is to make folks continue to wonder, continue to guess, continue to fear based on things that are being put out in the media. It's called information operations, and they're good at that. They're good at that. So obviously they'll put enough out to make people fear that there's something going on, right? And we do that too. We do the same thing. So when we put all this information out in the media and people are reading it, the Chinese people are reading it too, right? So they're saying, oh, and then they get scared too. They get scared too. What I'm really, really worried about is when people miscalculate that stuff, right? And when they miscalculate that, especially the ones in power, and they create some kind of international incident, then that could spark something up because of the miscalculation. And it's like a chess game at the international level. When you move your pieces around and you put resources here, you're letting them know that we can get to your queen and eventually checkmate. Right. So that's the kind of stuff that's going on. But again, to answer your first question, biggest threat, yes, typhoons. Oh, coming up. Oh my God. The season's coming up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Camacho. Anything else you'd like to add that I didn't ask about your role or what's
well, yes, my role, man. I like I said before, Tom, I'm really, really blessed to have some great professionals working in this CBMA. Our teams are like just getting more and more better, if that's a good way to say it. But even the best can be made better, can be improved, right? So I'm doing everything I can to send them to training with the limited resources we got. Even if it's online, we make that available. And I do a little bit of that training too, like hip pocket instructions and hip pocket training. We do that just to kind of like keep us abreast with the dynamics going on right now with our military build up and all that, all those activities. But yeah, it's good.